Welcome to A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students, Lesson 90. For this review, we will use these ideas. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Let me realize today that the problem is always some form of grievance that I would cherish. Isn't that an interesting word to use, cherish? It doesn't say that the grievance is something we would accept or tolerate. No, cherish. The ego cherishes grievances. The ego cherishes illusion because that's all it has. And remember, it cares a lot more about being right than it does about being kind, being loving, or even being wise. The ego is not wise. The ego is clever and destructive, but the true self is very wise. Let me also understand that the solution is always a miracle with which I let the grievance be replaced. Today, I would remember the simplicity of salvation by reinforcing the lesson that there is one problem and one solution. The problem is a grievance, the solution is a miracle. And I invite the solution to come to me through my forgiveness of the grievance and my welcome of the miracle that takes its place. Specific applications of this idea might be in these forms. This presents a problem to me which I would have resolved. So the first step is to admit and come to the understanding through being with your true self. Okay, I actually do want to solve this. Unlike the ego that wants to cherish this problem, I actually would like this to be solved. That's step one. The miracle behind this grievance will resolve it for me. That's the truth. The answer to this problem is the miracle that it conceals. From Lesson 80, let me recognize my problems have been solved. I seem to have problems only because I am misusing time. I believe that the problem comes first and time must elapse before it can be worked out. I do not see the problem and the answer as simultaneous in their occurrence. That is because I do not yet realize that God has placed the answer together with the problem so that they cannot be separated by time. The Holy Spirit will teach me this if I will let Him, and I will understand it is impossible that I could have a problem which has not been solved already. I'm going to read that again. That is a very powerful statement. I will understand it is impossible that I could have a problem which has not been solved already. These forms of the idea will be useful for specific applications. I need not wait for this to be resolved. The answer to this problem is already given me if I will accept it. Time cannot separate this problem from its solution. So essentially, A Course in Miracles is saying that inherent in every problem is its solution. You don't have to climb a mountain to get the answer. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to wait years and years to resolve this perceived problem. But we may need to be still and listen. And in my experience, that's always the answer. If I can just get myself to a place of stillness, if I choose that, I choose love in that moment instead of grievance. Someone criticizes me and I want to get really reactive and tell them off. If I don't, just say, no, I use one of these mantras. I use these all the time. One of my favorite ones is, I can choose to see this differently. And that reasserts my true self. So I'm no longer victim of the ego. I can choose to see this differently. That's the first step. Realizing that you have power. The first step is wanting to solve the problem, which is getting you out of ego right there. And then realizing that it's already solved. And when you see things differently and you choose a different path, miracles unfold. Literal miracles unfold. I'm not talking about just feeling a lot better, which that for sure happens. And that in and of itself is a miracle worth cherishing. It's everything. Just the peace, the love, the light that you have in your life when you choose love over grievance is invaluable. And it also opens the doorway for all of your most beautiful dreams to come true. I'm not going to share specific examples from my life because I don't want to project that onto you. Your unfolding might look totally different. I can only ensure you that it will happen. Your heart's truest desires are able to come true when you get out of your own way, when you get your ego out of your true self's way. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow for lesson 91.